Hello and welcome to the One Life Church devotional series where we cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, today's chapters are Jeremiah 38 and 39. Now, I'm in this swimming pool that my son-in-law is busy building, the perfect place to describe where Jeremiah was thrown to die. This deep cistern which was full of mud and full of water. And so this is how the story unfolded. The nobleman went to this king that had been installed there. King Zedekiah had been installed there by the Babylonians. And said, listen, we can't have this anymore. Jeremiah is making our people fearful. He's saying that the Babylonians are going to take us out. We've got to kill him. We've got to silence him. We need the morale to stay up, which is a perfectly, valid strategic comment, don't you think? Anyway, you can see the list of names of these noblemen. But interestingly, I'd like to point out Gedaliah and Jehukel, because in the year 2005, Dr. Elliot Mazar, who was an archaeologist, discovered some clay pots with these guys' names on the pots. Isn't that amazing? At this very same place. Survived the Babylonian fires and made it through to today to see these guys again. Anyway, so they go to the king and the king says to them, listen, I can't stop you. Do whatever you want to do. And so they check, but they also were cowards. They didn't want blood on their hands. So they drop him into this cistern, which has got mud in it. And the idea was, we're not going to actually kill him. We're just going to put him in a place and let him die all by himself. Anyway, it took an Ethiopian, a foreigner, to go to the king a few days later and say, listen, we can't leave the guy there. This is God's man. And so Zedekiah says, okay, take 30 men and go and fetch him yourself. So it took an Ethiopian, an outside guy, to come in. And, he was really kind to Jeremiah. He even put padding under his arms. He dropped the rope down, 30 men to pull him out. And then they put him in the courtyard. And he stayed there. He remained in the courtyard of the God of Zedekiah right up until the Babylonians finally breached the wall. Zedekiah calls for him and says, come tell me what God's saying. Jeremiah says, I'm not going to talk to you because then, you're going to kill me. You're not going to like what I'm going to say. You're not going to listen to me anyway. Zedekiah says, listen, I will listen to you, but keep it a secret between us. Such a pathetic and weak king. Anyway, that's how that particular chapter ends. Jeremiah 39 describes the final Babylonian conquest. Exactly the way Jeremiah described it. This is what happens. So remember, Jeremiah had said an enemy was going to come up against from the region that they came, that they were going to besiege, in incredible detail over the last 38 chapters. And it happened that way. Finally, the Babylonians break the wall, and they break the wall in the year January of 588. And basically, as they come in, this had been an 18-month siege. The Babylonian princes come in and they sit in the gates, between the gates. It's pretty much like sitting in our parliament buildings. The Babylonians coming in, maybe sitting in the Oval Office, took over the place. And the king and his noblemen tried to escape. So they run away, but the Babylonians catch them, just like Jeremiah said they were going to. The nobleman was slaughtered. Zedekiah was taken back to Nebuchadnezzar. They allowed him to see his kids getting murdered, and then they gouged out his eyes, so he lived in darkness for the rest of his lives. Now, that's an incredible thing to happen, because Ezekiel had prophesied in Ezekiel 12:13, this curious prophecy about Zedekiah. This is what he had said. I will bring him to Babylon, to the land of the Chaldeans, yet he shall not see it, though he shall die there. I'm going to take him to the land of the Babylonians. He won't see it, but he's going to die there. Isn't that incredible? What Ezekiel prophesied, another one of the prophets prophesying. We'll read about Ezekiel in a couple of months' time. But the Babylonians came in exactly like Jeremiah had said. They burnt the place down. They ransacked it. They gave some of the poor people the vineyards, actually, left them behind, took all the rich people with them. And then this is what happens. Nebuchadnezzar issues a command to his captain of his imperial guard. Look after Jeremiah, do to him whatever he wants. And so they allow Jeremiah to go among his people, and he doesn't get the treatment that the nobility got at all. And then Jeremiah himself ensures that the Ethiopian who had rescued him, also is spared. So in the midst of this terrible carnage, we see a couple of things. The sovereignty of God, what God says is going to happen. We see the folly of man not listening to God. And we see God's protection for his people through the carnage that goes on.